ממצרים גאלתנו מבית עבדים פדיתנו ממצרים גאלתנו מבית עבדים פדיתנו ממצרים גאלתנו בית עבדים פדיתנו ממצרים גאלתנו מבית עבדים פדיתנו ממצרים גאלתנו מבית עבדים פדיתנו ממצרים גאלתנו מבית עבדים פדיתנו ממצרים. We used to sing that song when we were kids. Mimitzrayim Galtanu, you redeemed us from Mitzrayim. Mibeit Avadim Peditanu, you redeemed us from the house of slavery. Okay. Did you let him in, Yocheret?
Yes, he's talking to Pesach.
Okay. You found one?
Yeah,
Good.
says.
Huh?
What it says.
Okay, so you'll give it back to Naki, yeah? Okay. This is Jedediah.
Jedediah?
Yeah. You did, yeah?
You did, yeah.
It's like Jerusalem. J in the European languages was what you have, what you use today as a Y.
Oh.
Like Judah is not Judah,
Yes.
it's Judah.
You-
You know, Jerusalem is Jerusalem. You know. So where did we stop in this last time? Oh, you did. You can get it back to this. What page? What page? What page? What page? Okay. Yeah, I think we're starting on page 40 today.
Just give a summary of what we're learning.
Page 40?
A summary of what we're learning. So we're going to start on page 40. A summary of what we're learning.
Summary.
In how many days?
Right.
We're learning what we're learning here is teaching from Shlomo Carlebach. Okay? No, these are transcripts of talks that he gave. See, her name is, they call her Jordana, but it's Yardena. See,
There you
the
go.
J, the Yud.
There it is again.
Or Jordana. That's what it's on my do that too.
Yeah.
Or more as a joke.
But
It's like,
So,
it's
Achat-
like me.
huh?
I'm also
Yesheta.
Yacheta.
Yacheta. Right, exactly. Achat hatfilot hamaratkot biyoter, page 40. Okay? One of the most, Achat hatfilot hamaratkot biyoter b'Tanakh, one of the most attention-grabbing prayers in the Tanakh, Hitfilata shel Chana, is Chana's prayer, right? Everybody's familiar. We read it on Rosh Hashanah in the Haftarah, right? There was this man, and he had two wives, Pnina and Chana. And Pnina had children, and Chana didn't have children, and Pnina used to drive her nuts. Anyway, so when once she comes to the Mishkan and she's praying like crazy, and Eli Kohen thinks that she's drunk because she's praying so intensely, and she says, "No, I'm not drunk. I'm pouring my soul out to God." And from her prayer, there's a few pages in the Talmud that from her prayer we learn a lot of things about how to pray. So Chana mitchanenet l'Hashem sheyitin la yeled. Chana is praying to God that He should give her a child. Okay, Shehu nolad, and when he's born, okay, let's share with. Okay, Shehu nolad, you know each other? You know each other? No. This Miss England. She's sitting next to me. כשהוא נולד, when he's born, היא מביאה אותו לאלי הכהן, she brings him to Eli, the הכהן הגדול, to the high priest, ואומרת לו, and she says, אל הנער הזה התפללתי. I prayed for this child.
She has a child?
No, after he was born, when he was 2 years old, she brought him to and gave him over to the Kohanim. Okay. So she says, I prayed for this child. Okay. And they would say they do mashu amok mod. So Reb Shlomo says, I wanted to know something very deep. So basically, what's your name again? Shira. So what we're learning is about the inner dimension of our beings. Okay, in other words, the Kitzur, we're so familiar with relating with everyone else and with ourselves in very superficial ways, and this whole shir is about getting to know yourself in an inner dimension, your inner dimension. Okay. She says, I want you to know something very deep. It happens very often that children are very angry at their parents. Never heard of such a thing. ואתם יודעים למה, and you know why? רוב ההורים לא מתפללים שיהיו להם ילדים. Most parents don't actually pray to have children. ואם הם כבר מתפללים, and if they're already praying for children, הם רק מבקשים שהקדוש ברוך הוא ייתן להם ילד כלשהו. They're just making a general kind of prayer that God should give them a child, מה שאפשר, whatever they can get, right? אז הקדוש ברוך הוא באמת שולח ילד כלשהו, so God sends them a child of any kind. התפללת עבור ילד, he prayed for a child, הנה הוא, here's the child. אבל זה יכול להיות אחרת, but it could be different. הדבר הכי יפה מיוחד בעולם הוא, the most beautiful thing and special thing in the world is, כשילד בא לעולם, הוא מבין שההורים שלו התפללו בשבילו. When a child comes into the world, then he knows and he's aware that his parents actually prayed for him. התפללו במיוחד בשבילי. They prayed specifically for me. אפשר להזמין אורחים לשבת דרך פרסומת בעיתון. You can invite guests for Shabbos. Give them the book. Come here. Give her your book and come here.
Sure, it's okay.
Oh yeah, okay, good. Okay. You can open up the other light if you want to get some more lights. There's the switches over there. They're one closer to the bookshelf. Okay. So you can invite people for Shabbos on Facebook, right? By putting an ad in the paper. ואפשר אחרת, you can do it differently. להזמין אותם אישית, אני מזמין אותך. I'm inviting you specifically, right? So what's Reb Shlomo saying? In other words, like one of the you've met people coming from large families, I'm sure, right? And people think, like if they're going to have more than 3 or 4 kids, how is each kid going to get individual attention and so on, right? But the truth is, there was a girl here recently, Hani, from LA. She's number 14 of 15 kids. And Julie was talking to her. You met her, Hani? Yeah. And she said, every one of them was treated like special. It's, and then you can have like kids from families of just 1 kid or 2 kids, and doesn't necessarily mean that they felt that they're special, right? So we were talking yesterday a little bit about self-esteem and so on, right? And the Nazis, by putting numbers onto our arms, what they were basically saying was, you're nothing more than just a number, right? But the truth of the matter is that everybody is unique and special, and also a number. Okay, At the beginning of Sefer Shmot, it says, "Ve'ele Shmot b'nei Yisrael habayim Mitzrayim et Yaakov." These are the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt with Yaakov, and it lists their names. And then in the end, it says altogether they were 70, right? So what's the difference between names and numbers? Okay, so the Lubavitch Rebbe explains that names means that you are unique. So when you're talking about names, like, you can have one person of a higher stature, you can have one person of a lower stature, and so on. And when you talk about numbers, so it's okay, it's upstairs. When you talk about numbers, every unit is an equal unit. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't count for more than one than does Moshe the water carrier. Moshe the water carrier is one of the group, no less than Moshe Rabbeinu, right? So there's both aspects. In other words, there's the aspect of you are a unit in this larger group, okay? And if any one unit is missing, the group is deficient, right? Right? You've probably heard, or you may have heard, that the word Yisrael is also an acronym for Yesh Shishim Ribui Otiyot LaTorah. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. Okay? 600,000 is the number of what? What other number do you know has to be 600,000?
Root souls.
600,000 root souls of the Jewish people, which means to say that every letter in the Torah is there representing one root soul. A Sefer Torah that's missing one letter is not kosher for public reading, because that Sefer Torah doesn't represent the Jewish people. Okay, so it could be that nasty taxi driver that you were with the last time you were in a cab, or somebody not very nice and so on. That individual is still a unit of the total number. And if that person was missing, the Knesset Yisrael, which is the total collection of souls of Israel, is incomplete. And it says that the Shekhinah does not dwell in an incomplete vessel. Just like you can have this most beautiful tureen. Everybody knows what a tureen is? You know what a tureen is. No? No? But you don't know? Isn't it one of those big dishes that you bring the soup to the table in? Right? Is that ladle? Okay. Anyway, so you can have a most beautiful, Shai, please go to the door. You can have a most beautiful dish, right? And you can be putting the best soup in the world into it, but if that has like one tiny hole, it's not going to stay there, right? In other words, so all the souls of Israel together make up this beautiful vessel, okay? And if one is missing, chas v'shalom, the Shekhinah will not dwell in it because the vessel is incomplete. Okay? So on the one hand, you have to know, I have my name, I have my unique identity. And on the other hand, you have to know, at the same time, I am just one of the entire group, as is everyone else, right? So talking about self-esteem, right? Now, what Reb Shlomo is saying vis-a-vis children is he's saying that if parents, when Chana says, El page 40, when Chana says, El Hana hazeh hitpalalti, I prayed for this child, right? In other words, what he's saying is that parents should know that it's so important to pray for each child individually. In other words, you got to make sure that you're giving every one of your children a sense and you help them that they should realize that they are special, right? And this whole thing about being special and being unique, right? We've learned it in the past is actually, you might think it's from a Hasidic Sefer, and it actually is from a Hasidic Sefer known as the Talmud, because the Talmud is a Hasidic Sefer. Yes.
It's the most.
And when the Talmud says, like, where else are you going to find a statement saying that every individual is obligated to say the world was created for my sake? It's a Mishnah. Every person is obligated to say the world was created for my sake. That means everything from the beginning of creation till this moment, right now, it was all for your sake. Okay, so everybody say it out loud. The world was created for my sake. Bunch of egomaniacs, right?
And dust and ashes.
Huh?
And dust and ashes.
And I'm dust and ashes. You know the story, right?
I know that my rabbi
The
gave a
Rebbe-
sermon on this and gave us all keychains that had that on each side.
On each side. The Rebbe Reb Zushi used to carry two pieces of paper in his pockets. In one pocket he had the phrase that Avraham Avinu says, "I'm dust and ashes," Vanochi Afar Ve'evel, and the other one said, "The world was created for my sake." And you have to have both. There are times you have to say the world was created for my sake, and right. So, but you're not being an egomaniac because you're not saying the world was created for my sake alone. It was created for my sake. And yes, I recognize it was created for your sake and for your sake and for your sake and for your sake, for everyone. Okay? So it's not egocentric. It's a statement of saying that my being here has importance in the eyes of God, so important that everything that Hashem has done from the beginning of creation till now is because He wants me to be here now. Okay? In other words, isn't that an amazing self-esteem statement? Right? At the same time, don't let it get to your head in the wrong way. I'm just dust and ashes.
I've heard this before, and I'm trying to believe it. How can one believe the world was created for me? I can understand that I'm here because God wants me to. But there's a world of difference. The whole world was created for me. How can one say that?
Well, let's take it like this. The Rambam says that that whenever you're about to do something, you should think about the fact that, or visualize the world as being balanced between good and evil, and whatever you're going to do right now is going to tip the scales in either direction. Okay? That's one way to think about it. Okay, but the Mishnah that we're quoting from, the Mishnah talks about. It talks about a whole speech that was given to witnesses by the judges before they were going to testify in a case of a capital crime, and they wanted to make sure that the witnesses were well aware that their testimony might end up in the person being executed, right? And not just that they were aware that the person may be executed, that the person should be aware that killing one innocent person is like wiping out a whole world. Okay, so there's a whole speech over there, and it speaks about why was it why when trees were created, all of a sudden there were millions of trees, fishes, millions of fishes. But for the creation of mankind, man was created as a single individual. So why is that? So one point is that so that we shouldn't get into a further argument about I come from a better species than you do. Okay, we're all coming from the same one Adam. Okay, and the other thing is that to know that one individual is worth the entire creation. Okay, and it's the I know that Nelson Mandela used to quote this, but the quote is actually older than that. And it goes something like, more than we're afraid of the dark, we're afraid of the light. In other words, more than we're afraid of, or like there's another similar statement, man prefers the familiarity of a lousy situation to the uncertainty of a better future. Right? More than we're afraid of the dark, we're afraid of the possibilities of a better life. We're afraid of the light. We're afraid of realizing how great we can be. Okay. So what Reb Shlomo is saying over here is that he wants parents to know that, more than how many T-shirts you're going to get for your kids, and or anything like that. What's really important is that your children should know that you so much care about them, that you were praying for them. You were praying for them specifically, right? Not just that you wanted to have 2.4 children. They did it, back in the 60s, there was a demographic study that, that the average Jewish family in the suburbs had 2.4 children and a chihuahua.
All right. It's not true anymore.
Yeah, I said back in the 60s.
Not then. What if you didn't?
So
you can't say that to the child without lying.
No, but you can do tshuva now. You don't have to say that. I came to the realization now that you're really special. I mean, you do the best you can, right? So he says, "Anachnu chayim beseder." Good. "Anachnu chayim ba'olam shemitmaked u'mitrakez b'sheifot shonot." We're living in a world that is focused on various goals of achievement. For example, להגיע לירח, to reach the moon, להגיע לכוכבי הלכת, to reach the planets, אבל עוד לא למדנו לתקשר בין אדם לחברו. So we've learned how to send a spaceship and go all the way to the moon, right? But we still don't know how to be close with the person and connect with the person that's sitting next to you. Right? In other words, I know how to get very far away from you. But I don't really know how to be close with you, right? Okay?
Is it because we're afraid of that?
We're chicken, yeah. Quack, quack. Yeah. We're afraid because, I might have to give you something that I wanted to keep for myself, right? Or whatever. So he says, ואני מברך אתכם, so I'm blessing you, בטח תלכו לאוניברסיטה. I don't know where he was giving this particular talk, but he's obviously talking to some students. ותלמדו הרבה, surely you're going to go to university, you're going to learn a lot, אבל אני מברך אתכם שתתמקדו בדבר הזה. You know that word שתתמקדו is from the word נקודה. You should focus on the point, right? That your focal point should be on this thing, that what תתקשרו לאנשים שמסביבכם, למשפחה ולחברים. Focus on learning how to connect with the people around you, to connect with your family and to connect with your friends. right? When we were learning the teachings about Hanukkah, we were also learning the same idea that that parents need to know to appreciate each child's light, right? אנחנו חיים בעולם מערבי, we living in the Western world, מפחדים לגעת אחד בשני, we're even afraid to touch one another. אל תתקרב אליי, don't come too close to me.
If you come to Kolarina, you won't come across that.
It's packed like sardines on Friday
Doesn't
night.
matter how many people are there. We hug and kiss. Not just the women, it's the men too.
Yeah. And what really Reb Shlomo that really introduced that,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so
But we from the Western world are
so the Bali shul full of Bali Tshuva.
no, not about the children. Well, I guess
So he says that lat mevinim kama ze garua. We're beginning to slowly understand how bad that is. She'im namshich kacha ze rak yigrom lanu litchachek echad me'asheni. That if we just keep this way, we're going to just keep on going further from each other. Yesh madanim she'yodim livnot tilim. There are scientists who know how to build missiles. אבל לא יודעים איך לדבר עם הילדים שלהם, but they don't know how to talk to their children. וזה לא רק במדע. It's not just in sciences. יש פסיכולוגים שכותבים על פסיכולוגיית ילדים ומשפחה, who write books on psychology and child psychology and so on. ולא יודעים איך לתקשר עם הילדים שלהם, they don't know how to connect with their children. What was the name of the psychologist with the whole behavioral modification school?
Skinner.
Skinner, yeah. You know that he raised his daughter in a glass box? She's written about it. Huh?
How?
What?
How
He
can
held
you
that
do
it would be bad. It wouldn't be healthy to pick her up and hold her. It wouldn't be good for her.
What happened there?
Huh? She wrote a book about how terrible it was. And everybody thought that Skinner's like, oh, the big child psychologist, behavior modification and this and that and so on. Like Meshiggah, like Shlomo really had it in for psychiatrists, by the way, in case any of you are.
I love it.
And so there was a woman here that lived here. She made Aliyah from California. Unfortunately, she's not alive anymore. So she had invited Shlomo to her daughter's bat mitzvah. And for Shabbos, and he came and he spoke. And he didn't realize that her husband was a psychiatrist and that all the guests were psychiatrists. And he went into one of his rants against psychiatrists. He anyway.
I have one about psychiatrists. I had a friend who was a head social worker in a psychiatric hospital. And he said the only thing different between the psychiatrist and the patients is the patients get better.
Actually, there was a study done in the 60s. Six guys went ahead and they feigned insanity. And you got into... Huh?
Cuckoo's nest. One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
No.
It's a real,
I'm talking about a real study.
Thomas Zaz. His name is Thomas
Oh,
Zaz.
yeah, I don't remember the name.
And Thomas Zaz, spelled like SC, I don't know.
Yeah.
But actually, I took psychopathology in college, and we read that as the first story.
Yeah.
And then we read about.
Wait 1 second, let me tell them what happened. So they wanted to see would the professionals know that they really weren't insane. And in almost in all situations, right, it's the actual insane people who knew right away you're not crazy. Mm-hmm. But the professionals did not always catch on.
True. In the study itself, it just talks about how they couldn't distinguish them from other patients.
Yeah.
But the response, there's a lot of research done after responding to it, talking about how the people they sent to the mental institutions claimed to have heard voices or seen hallucinations, so they were submitted, and a lot of them were sent away saying that they were in remission. So like if you think about the fact that the psychiatrist had to take them at their word, yes, it's a study that reveals
Yeah,
problems.
I'm talking about the
but
ones
it
who I'm talking about the ones who actually who got into the institutions, and that it was the people who really were insane. They knew right away, you guys are faking.
Oh, okay. So there's a control group.
Huh?
There's a control group.
No, it's just that
Takes one to know it.
exactly. That's the way to put it. Okay.
How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? One, but only if the light bulb wants to change.
Nice. Nice.
How many Breslov Hasidim?
How many what?
Breslov Hasidim?
Change light bulb?
None, because it never went out.
Nice. That's so good. That's so good.
Okay.
My sister said I
Okay.
should change my jokes and began repeating them. I who let them have to change the jokes, have to change the audio.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, כולם יודעים שבבית המקדש שרו רק שירים שהולחנו על ידי דוד המלך. Everybody knows that in the Beit HaMikdash they would sing the songs that were composed by King David. We're on page 41. ואיך דוד המלך הלחין את השירים הללו? How did he compose those prayers? Shira, by the way, in biblical Hebrew, doesn't just mean song, it means poetry. Okay, religious poetry is referred to as shira. Okay? So in other words, even to this very day, most of the Siddur is composed of psalms of Tehillim. Can you see, did you? Yeah, you were able to see it? So, Midrash Masbir, the Midrash explains, Shekol Laila Bechatzot, that every night at midnight, David HaMelech Haya Lokeach et HaKinor, King David would take his harp, Shayat Talui Mi'al Mitato, that was always hanging over his bed, Vayamit Palei Mevakesh Me'akadosh Baruch Hu, and he would pray and request of God, Shiyaleh et Nishmato LaShamayim, that God should raise his soul to heaven, L'kama dakot, for a few minutes, Kedei sheyishma et kulam mitpalelim, so that he should hear everyone's prayers. Because Shu shamat et tefilot shel kol haolam, and when he heard the prayers of the entire world, Hu hilchin et kol hashirim shel Beit HaMikdash, then he composed the prayers of the temple. See, so now Rav Shlomo is taking this a step further, right? In other words, it's one thing and very important to know that you are special. It's another thing and extremely important to make sure that your children are special. That that you should know, and that you should make it known to them that you realize how special they are. And then there's another deeper step, and that is to be able to hear the prayers of another person. Right? In other words, to know what the other person is yearning for, to know what the other person is needing, right? Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchever said that one of his deepest lessons he received one day was when he overheard two drunkards, and Boris says to Vlad, do you love me? And Vlad says, yeah, I love you. And he says, well, then how come you never know what I need? Right? Why don't you know what I need? In other words, to really love another person, like, you're in touch with what they're feeling. You're in touch with their needs, and that's why Tehillim is so special. And that's why for thousands of years we're using Tehillim as our basic prayers, because everybody finds their own prayers in Tehillim. And how is it that everybody finds their own prayers in Tehillim? How is it that everybody finds... Okay, it's like a tough getting it. How is it that everybody finds their prayers in Tehillim? So he's saying that because King David prayed to hear those prayers. He wanted to hear those prayers. We're talking about King David. This is David. And we're talking about King David's compositions.
Yes. Oh, good.
Okay? So he's saying that how is it that Tehillim is so special? Because King David, you must have heard this many times. He used to pray that Hashem should let him hear everybody's prayers.
Okay.
Right? So he would hear everybody's prayers and then he composed it to him.
I love this.
We're not King David, though. Going back to
So here one person's prayers, here two people's prayers. Yeah, go on.
how does one do that? I have a number of
You
close acquaintances. I only have one special friend. How am I supposed to know, or how can I know what another person needs? People don't wear their needs on their sleeves, as it were. People don't know what I need.
I disagree with that.
speak up.
I disagree with that.
So speak up louder. No, when you disagree, you have to talk louder.
Yeah. I don't think people know how to say what they need per se, but you can observe someone and begin to understand over a period of time.
You can do it. First, you went through quite a chapter in your life
Quite a chapter.
for your child,
Children.
for your children, right? So obviously you knew what they need.
I guessed for a lot of it.
Okay, good, Beseder. So different people are more. Look, like the Holy Original Rebbe said, if you don't feel the pain of a woman in labor in a radius of 300 kilometers, then you're not a Rebbe. Okay, so in other words, there's many different levels of sensitivity, right? But the point is like there's a street over here called Rabbi Aryeh Levine. So one of the famous stories about Rabbi Aryeh Levine is that his wife's foot was hurting, and he went with her to the doctor, and the doctor said, "What's wrong?" And he says, "My wife's leg is hurting us." He felt her pain. I remember a kid in school once, she was in grade 5. She jumped up to get something from the top of the lockers, and her ring got cut, and it ripped off her finger. So took her to the hospital, and they tried to sew it back on. Unfortunately, the surgery didn't really work, but her father was walking around during the entire surgery, like trying to pull his own finger off and give it to her. He said, "If only I can take my finger off and give it to her." If the closer you are to someone, the more you feel their needs, the more you feel their pain, the more you feel their joy, and so on.
Okay. You're not talking about a child here.
Yeah, but I mean, so there are even listen, you went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, right?
Yeah.
Told you to go and get some help with stuttering, right? Yeah. And then a few years later, he saw you again and he said
to me, "Did you go?" And I
"Did you go?" No. And he remembered the conversation, even though he spoke to thousands of people in between those two meetings, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just a matter of genius. It was, he actually cared. I have a friend who teaches in the yeshiva in Keren B'Yavner, Reb Mendel Blachman. So he's a big genius of a guy. His father was not a chassid whatsoever. He was actually from the Litvaks, but he was a Rav in Chicago. He came from Kovner. And when Mendel was 12 years old, so he called up Rav Aaron Kotler, and he says, there's nobody left in Chicago that knows enough to teach my two boys. They've surpassed all the teachers. So can I send them to Lakewood? So Rav Aaron said, Lakewood is the yeshiva in the Western world, So Rav Aaron said, they're too young to come to Lakewood. So he says, what should I do? He said, send them to Lubavitch. He was really surprised. Rav Aaron was totally against Lubavitch. So he says, they're going to learn how to learn on Lubavitch? So he said, no, but there's Yiras Shamayim there. They fear God. So he sent them to Lubavitch. So the second week, after the second week that they were there, the principal calls Mendel down to the office. And he's like 12 years old or 11 years old. And he calls him down to the office and he says, you know, there was a Farbrengen yesterday on Shabbos. So Mendel says, yeah, I know, I was there. So he says, you know, the Rebbe saw you. So he says, yeah, he saw me and he saw everybody else that was there. So he says, the Rebbe sent a message that he noticed that you're losing weight. So this is a 12-year-old kid or an 11-year-old kid. And he had been at a Farbrengen twice, right? He was new in New York. And the Rebbe noticed that he's losing weight. And he says, and the Rebbe sent a message saying that the reason you're losing weight is probably because you don't want to wash the bread at lunchtime because you don't want to sit there and do Birkat Hamazon because you want to be out there playing. And so that's true. So the Rebbe said we should assign an older student to make sure that you wash the bread every day and that you eat a full meal and that you do Birkat Hamazon, and then you can go play. Okay? So, how many people, you know, do that? Okay? But if you really care, you do that. If you're really connected to every neshama, you care and you do that.
It's something that that in most of the books that we've been reading here, I noticed it says open your heart, open your heart,
Yeah, yeah.
open your heart. It says it all the time, open your heart, really open your heart deeply. I think that's maybe the most important thing in all of his books. It's open your heart.
One of the most important things, for sure. For sure.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You said the other day,
You
he's
can't
into
get
insights.
close to another person.
Yeah.
Right?
We said, what was that the other day? He
Every
says that
day.
It's every day. It's like there's outsides, there's insides.
Yeah.
And Shlomo was totally inside.
But he paid his bills.
He paid a lot of bills.
Right, not only his own.
I don't know.
Okay?
I want to go back to my question.
Yeah.
You said that if you don't feel the pain of a woman in labor at 200 feet, you're not
200 kilometers.
whatever.
Yeah. Then you're not a Rebbe. You're a good man, but you're not a Rebbe.
Everyone, he felt the pain, or
Yeah.
okay, I'm not. I'm just,
So good. So nobody's asking you to be a Rebbe. But you think I'm a Rebbe? You think nobody's asking me. I need to be me.
But going back to
Going back to sensitivity. So the question is, am I capable of growing and being more sensitive? And the answer is yes. So then, move that way. It's not, nobody's asking me to be more than I can be, but I'm being asked, and what every one of us is being asked, is to be the most that you can be. Okay? But Shlomo used to say, people think that a stingy person means somebody who's just stingy with his money. He says, unfortunately, a lot of people are stingy with their time and with their friendship. You know?
The party.
No, they're already on lunch break, but they're practicing. They're going to be producing the CD and musician.
Yes.
You heard that?
No, but it's your second album.
I
Your
know.
second album.
You were involved in the first one, weren't you?
Involved.
You listen
Okay.
closely.
Anyway.
Recipe's voice loud and clear.
She says, "אספר לכם סיפור קצר." I'm going to tell you a little short story. הסיפור הזה קרה לפני כ-120 שנה. It happened about 120 years ago, I guess by now 140 years or more. ושמעתי אותו מהרבי מבבב, and I heard it from the Baba Rabbi. הרבי מבבב הוא הנין של פייגלה, ביתו של רבינו הקדוש רבי חיים מצאנז. So the Baba Rebbe was a great-grandchild of Feigele, who was the daughter of the Tzanz. Rabbi Mitzanz hayu 11 ילדים, the sons of Rebbe had 11 children. ופייגלה הייתה הקטנה ביניהם, ופייגלה was the youngest. כשסוף סוף הגיע זמנה להתחתן, and when it was finally time for her to get married, הגיעו אלפי חסידים, thousands of Hasidim came to the wedding. You know, when the son of the Ger Rebbe got married, I think like there were 50,000 people.
Wow.
And they had it totally organized, like, you know, some people were invited. And the wedding was taking place in a whole bunch of different halls at the same time, you know, with live streaming, you know. Just want to show you that. Anyway, so can I know her? Yeah. Hi, I'm gonna finish the show. I'll call you back, okay? No, okay, bye. So thousands of Hasidim are coming to the wedding of the Feigele, right? Kol ha'yeladim, I'm sorry. כשסוף סוף הגיע הזמן להתחתן, הגיעו אלפי חסידים, הרי מי רוצה לפספס את החתונה האחרונה, who wants to miss the last wedding of the Sanzer's children. כל הילדים של הסנזר היו יפים מבפנים ומבחוץ. All his children were beautiful and inside and outside. גם פייגלה הייתה יפה, and she too was very beautiful. הרבי מסנס תמיד אומר, רק דבר אחד יכול לשבור את ליבי. And the Sanzer Rebbe said, only one thing can break my heart, dma'ot, tears. כשמישהו בוכה זה לגמרי שובר אותי. When somebody's crying, it breaks me completely.
When did he say this?
20 years ago.
No, that was something that, the Sanzer used to say this. אז סוף סוף הגיע יום החתונה, והסנזר הקדוש הלך עם אשתו ופייגלה לכיוון החופה, and the Sanzer was walking with his wife and Feigele to the chuppah. ופתאום הצנזר אמר לשמש שלו, and suddenly the Sanzer says to his assistant, אני שומע מישהו בוכה, I hear somebody crying. שמש הלך לבדוק, the שמש went to check. באמת מצא ילדה בת 14 בוכה בפינה, and he found a 14-year-old crying in the corner. גם Feigele הייתה בת 14, and Feigele was also 14. הביאו את הילדה לסנזר, they brought the girl over, והוא שאל אותה למה היא בוכה, and he asked her, why are you crying? וכך היא אמרה, and this is what she said, גם אני מתחתנת היום, I'm getting married today as well, אבל אין לי מה ללבוש, I don't have anything nice to wear. הסנזר הסתכל, הסנזר took a look, וראה שהיא לבושה בסמרטוטים, he said she's dressed in rags, פנה לפייגלה, he turned to Feigele and he says, let's take her to Trumpeldor. פנה לפייגלה ביתו, he turned to...
And we said, you need to have an appointment for a bridal gown.
He said to Feigele, his daughter, page 42, Diilach, I want you to know, כתוב, it says, שלבושו של הקדוש ברוך הוא צדקה. God's garments are tzedakah, charity and righteousness. במקום בגדים של צמר, instead of wearing nice woolen clothing, את יכולה ללבוש את בגדיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. You have a chance now to get dressed in God's garments. הם חזרו הביתה, they went back home, והחליפו בגדים, and the Sanzer's daughter exchanged clothes with this girl. Feigele התלבשה בסמרטוטים של הילדה, Feigele put on this girl's rags. הילדה לבשה את בגדי הצמר של Feigele, and the girl dressed up in the nice woolen garments that Feigele had. הרבי מבובב, the Bobov Rebbe, כשסיפר לי את הסיפור, when he told me the story, המשיך ואמר, he continued and he said that שכל החסידים שהיו שם, all the Hasidim that were there, אמרו, they said, שמעולם לא הייתה כלה יפה ממנה, that there was never a more beautiful bride than Feigele. כשילדים נולדים, when children are born, האימהות שלהם קונות להם כל מיני בגדים קטנים וחמודים, Their parents buy them all these little cute clothing. It's all nice and beautiful. But when you have children, make sure to give them God's garments as well. Your grandparents left you a lot of garments. Not just garments of wool, but garments from all the righteous deeds that they did in their lifetime. I'm blessing you that you should take these garments with you always. That you should wear them at all times. Right? So that's big, right? Okay. And so how does this connect with self-esteem? Right? What usually the fashion industry basically says, if you're not going to buy this, you have no self-esteem, right? I remember that once one of our friends in the university said she wouldn't get caught dead not wearing bell-bottom pants.
It's only
Right.
good for one season.
No, it comes back every 40 years. There's a 40-year cycle in the fashion industry, basically, something like that, right? And people think like literally, I have this pancho talesum that I made, right? And so yeah, pancho with sisters on it,
Cool.
And so I made them like about 35 years ago, 40 years closer.
Oh, you made them yourself?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, I didn't know that. They're beautiful.
No, I mean, some of them, Judy's mother, one of them, Judy's mother helped sew, but one of them, my mother sewed. But in any case, so I was between, I had recently gotten divorced, and there was people were calling me up, I wanted to meet so-and-so. I said, listen, leave me alone. Anyway, so one of my friends says, she just wants a friend, don't worry about it. Okay, so I go. So I show up at the house and I bring my pancho talis. And she takes a look. She says, I'm not going to go into the street with somebody wearing that. So I said, okay, thank you. Goodbye. And she got so angry, like, you're not even going to come and explain to me. And then, anyway, doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, people, like everybody, we're all like that, like one feather more, one feather less. Like, people are like, very concerned about their image type of thing and so on. But again, that's just all the superficial stuff, right? And the point that he's making over here, okay, so good. So you want to get dressed up, whichever way you want. But please be sure to wear God's garments. Understand? Be sure to wear God's garments. One Shlomo said to me, you can wear whatever you want as long as you're not cutting anybody out. Understand? If what you're wearing is cutting somebody away, then that's a problem. You want to wear a strammel? Wear a strammel. Just don't cut anybody away that's not wearing a strammel. You want to dress nachlaot layers? It's okay. Just don't cut out the people who are wearing strammels. You know what I mean? That's the point. But besides that, don't there is such a thing as God's garments, and how are you able to take off your garments and give them to somebody who needs them, and you put on their garments? Okay. One of the early Chabad Rebbe's, I think it was either the Mittler Rebbe or maybe the Rebbe Marash, when he would see the Hasidim, with individual meetings, every hour he had to change his clothes because they were full of sweat. So one day his rabbi asked him, like, how come you sweat so much? So he says, let's say I see 20, 25 people in an hour. Right? Eid comes and tells me his problems. So I hear them in my clothes. Then I have to take off my clothes and put on his clothes and listen to his problems in his clothes. Then I have to take off his clothes and put my clothes back on and think of a solution, how to help this person. Then I have to then when I have an idea how to help him, I have to put on his garments again to think about how does my idea sound in his garments. Then I have to put my garments back on and tell him what I was thinking. So if I see 20 people in an hour, it means I'm changing my clothes at least 70, 80 times. If you would change your clothes 70, 80 times in an hour, you'd be sweating. Okay?
It's beautiful. That's right.
Okay.
Sounds like you're getting in trouble right now.
Yeah. So you understand we could learn to be sensitive. It's not. It's like some people just like the world thinks, oh, this person's a sensitive person. They were born that way, and this one is not. You could learn to be sensitive.
That's a beautiful answer to Michelle's question. So if you put on somebody's walking down the street, if we try to put on his clothes and think about it and go back and forth like that, then maybe you'll see his needs.
Don't judge someone until you walk in your shoes.
What's that?
Don't judge someone
until you walk in his shoes.
Yeah, so all the more if you do everything he's wearing.
About getting inside his skin.
More.
What?
Other pieces might tell you even more than the shoes.
Right.
How about getting under his skin?
Yeah. So there's an expression in English I once heard: everybody lives in the castle of their own skin, right? And it meaning to say that everybody's sensitive to themselves and hardly sensitive to another person, right? So going back to the whole topic of this lesson, which was about our inner dimension, right? If you're in touch with your inner dimension, the inner dimension of your being, then you will be sensitive to other people too. If you're sitting and meditating somewhere in a cave in Tekoa or wherever it is, and you're in such a deep high meditation that you don't hear anybody else's cries, it's not what Yiddishkeit is about. Okay? In other words, go ahead, meditate on God and have the highest, deepest meditations. But how do you know that you really meditated on Hashem? You know by the degree of sensitivity that you have to another person. How do you know if you really prayed or not? If after davening you feel closer to the people than you felt when you first walked into the shul, then you really prayed. If after davening nothing's changed, so you said words. So you said words.
I've tried that. This is not the first time I've heard it. And if he's a jerk before, he's a jerk after. But mind you, I don't use the word jerk. I use the word difficult.
But you have pretty much transformed one individual in your shul, you told me. So don't say that you haven't done it. You've done it.
Because nobody else goes over to him.
What's the difference? Why? You've done it.
You knew his needs.
You decided that I'm going to do something.
There you go.
I knew his needs. He was so unhappy, and he stood in his corner looking at people. I went over to him and my brightest smile and I said, "Good Shabbos." And he can't leave me alone.
And that's why a lot of people are afraid to do it, because
This is only one person.
But say it, but you did it, and so you know how to do it, and you can do it. There's no question about it.
Question is, do I want to?
Yes, the question is, how many people want to be a tzaddik? Not too many people. Okay.
Yes, I got an answer to that because you asked me if I want to be a tzaddik, and at the tip of my tongue to answer that, but I didn't, and I thought about it. What's wrong with being one of the Bobovniks? They don't know who I am, and they won't go knocking on my door.
Maybe they won't know that you're a tzaddik and they're going to knock on your door.
You know, I've been here 15 years and nobody's knocked on my door once.
What's your address?
Wow.
What's your
Where do you
address?
live?
Pardon?
Where do you live?
He's not telling you.
Tel Aviv.
I heard a cute one
Wow.
this week. What was that? What is Adam and Chava's telephone number? Apple I812.
That is okay.
It took me a while to understand it, but the person, he laughed. It was so funny.
Okay. So, have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
We're not doing Shabbos this week. We're taking a little Shabbos afternoon nap this week.
Sounds good.
Shabbos.
You know, I went to a class on the